Welcome back to another episode, everyone. Today, I'm bringing you a bit of a gear video. I want to go fishing so bad. I tried my best to figure out how to get somewhere today, but we got a ton of snow, well over a foot, almost 2 feet in most places of heavy snow, and that makes it very difficult to get out on the lakes. So instead of getting out today, I took today to do some preventative maintenance. And it got me thinking about telling you guys what I'm doing and then showing you a quick little synopsis of my rig, of my ice fishing rig. What I use all year round. Regardless if we're driving on lakes or not, I take this rig. So let's go check it out. All right, we don't have it set up exactly how I wanted to show you guys what it looked like, but I'm doing some work inside of there to get it all cleaned up and fixed up and ready to go. But I'll get to that in a second. This is my rig. This is how I go fishing. Everything in here is pretty much exactly how it rides. Let's go over a couple of things about it, some pros and cons with it, and then I'll show you the shack. So here it is. This is how I ride. Now it's a little empty because I have a heater in the shack running right now. But if I'm going out with one shack, this is exactly how it looks. The middle of the shelf up there, I usually have my camera equipment and maybe another Vexlar or a cooler with food in it, if there's not enough room in this cooler with drinks and food. But this is exactly how I ride. So when I get to the lake, I am ready to go. This is how it rides down the freeway to Mille Lacs. This is how it rides in the bumpy back roads. I've never lost anything, fingers crossed, knock on wood. And nothing's ever broke. But I have it this way built intentionally so that when we get to the lake, we can unload, hook up the shack with a tow bar that we have, and we're fishing within 10-15 minutes. We're not loading up the rig for 20 minutes and then hitting the water at that point, but then you're having to unpack things as you're searching for fish. I try to have everything ready to go. So this is how it rides. The Can-Am has what they call a link system, so they have these slots and hook spots all over the bed of the side-by-side. I just shaved down a couple 2x4s to complete that shelf, just like that. So that shelf just slides right in. I put one screw on each side and the bottom. It's snug. It ain't going nowhere. And that shelf is like the main attraction. So I built that shelf tall enough so that we can fit our LP tanks underneath. There's little slots in the bed that help hold it in place. And the buckets. So one of those buckets will usually be a minnow bucket or something of the sort. The other one's got a dipper and a shovel and usually a Vexlar in it. And that's like the main attraction. But as you can see, there's a lot of stuff on that shelf. Let's go over it. This basket here is screwed down with some washers. It's for anything, so I don't have a lid on here, but a Vexlar is usually the thing that ends up in this basket. But if I'm going by myself, I put a little cooler in here so it can just ride out on the lake with me and it doesn't take up room anywhere else. I know it's not going anywhere. When I'm with other people, we throw rods or baits or buckets in here, anything we need to do that helps us fish faster. On the front of this shelf, I have two tip-up holders screwed in. These tip-up holders are from one of those tip-up bucket straps, so you can like screw it to a bucket and it goes around the bucket. You put your tip-ups in it. I just cut it off. I just broke it into individual pieces, screwed it on so that I could have two backup tip-ups in case anything goes wrong with my IFish Pros. I'm never light on tip-ups. Speaking of IFish Pros, you've seen it, you can see it. I've put it in B-roll already. This rod holder is perfect. I have it screwed in there. And those rods do not come out no matter what we're doing. So they're there, ready to go, ready to rip. It makes setting up the IFish Pros incredibly quick to just snatch out a rod, get it going with the IFish Pros, and it's very convenient. So you can see I have a rod locker. I used to keep the IFish Pros in there, or the IFish Pro rods in there to protect them. What I found was it was taking too much time to open and close that case. And I know that sounds like such a first world problem or not an issue at all. But every time you're opening and closing it, you're letting snow in, you're putting debris in. I keep other things in here. You had to be careful about your jigging rods. So I got this clam rod holder, and I'll never go back. I want a second one, and I'll get to that in a second. I want a second clam rod holder for once we're on the lake, but let's talk about that in a second. Lastly, as you can see, I have a laundry basket. Just a cheap, I'm pretty sure it's like $3.99 at Walmart, laundry basket. I screw down with washers and screws, and then I have a bungee that's tied on one side, clips on the other. And this is the best way I have found that I have used. I've used a bunch of different ways to carry IFish Pros. This is by far the easiest solution and the best solution I could come up with. This basket is on its second year. None of these little slots are broken. Nothing has gone wrong with it. We've never lost an IFish Pro. And it rides in here just like this, like I said, up the freeway, ready to go fishing. I think that is like the best solution for IFish Pros. If you have a better one out there, like I've seen some like oversized buckets that you can stack the IFish Pros in, that would be nice, but when you stack 4 high, you know, that bucket's gonna be pretty tall. So it wouldn't fit underneath, like I'd have to find a specific spot for it. I think just laying them in a basket like this has worked out the best. With a few of the solutions I've used, my favorite's basket. Last thing I wanna mention real quick about the rod holder. I said I want another one, and I'll talk to you why. Well, this is why I want to mount one of those on the side here, or some sort of rod holder on the side here for when we're running and gunning, so that our jig rods are quickly accessible. So we drill a hole, we drop a Vexlar, and we got a mark. We're not scrambling to open up the rod lockers, get a jig rod out, the one you want, make sure it's not tangled, drop it down the hole, and start jigging on it. I want to be able to grab a rod and jig on it instantly. So what I've been doing is that, sacrificing, you know, if one of these rods break, I don't care. This one was $20. I don't care if it breaks or falls out or I lose it, so I just toss it in that basket. And I've been keeping a jig rod or two on this mount. Ideally, in a perfect world, I have one on the side here, or maybe replace one of these tip-ups with another one. Not to transport our jig rods, because that jig rod is $149 as a combo. But once we're on the lake and we're fishing, we're not doing 60, 70, you know, down the road, nothing like that. We can just have it on the side, and it's bam, ready to go. Drill a hole and start jigging. Now the shack is not facing the proper way at the moment, but I laid down what I have right there for a tow bar. I had a homemade one, it worked, but I found that on Facebook Marketplace for $20. I immediately ran to go get that from the guy. You can get that like exact one at I believe Tractor Supply for like $149, brand new. I would suggest it. I love it. It makes life really easy. I have just 2 pins underneath that hook to it, and then it just goes on and off the hitch of the side-by-side. It stays hooked up to the side-by-side 99% of the time that we're on the lake. We just pull up side-by-side where we want to fish. We flip the shack over exactly as it is, all hooked up to the side-by-side, and we're fishing. It's so fast, it's so convenient, and everything I've done is to try to be as convenient and quick as possible. And I definitely suggest finding yourself some sort of professionally built tow bar. Unless you can professionally build one yourself, get after it. Now, a lot of times I'm fishing with just more than 2 of us. So there's 4 of us, and we need to bring another shack. We need to bring all that extra gear. A second sled is necessary. Let me show you how I hook it up. So as you can see, I have like a homemade little U-bolt thing that I have bolted to the sled and has a pin on it. I have this as a matching set, so I have one just like it on the shack, on the back of the shack. And all we do is put a bar that has a hole in it in between both of them. You have to pay attention to which way your bar sits. So this one's sitting, let's call it horizontally. That one's sitting vertically. So then when you're turning, it's like a train, and that front pin can twist left and right, but it can't twist and left right on here. Otherwise you'd run into a problem where the back sled may be going way off to the left or the right. So we have this sled so it can't turn in the front of here, but it turns on the back of there. So the bar turns to the right because the pin in the front allows it to turn that way, and then it pulls the back through and around. So I have these hooked up, and we have a big old sled. We just utilized it, and it's incredibly easy to build. So I just got a nice aluminum bar from Tractor Supply for really cheap. A couple of, you know, they're L brackets. I just put them together with a U-bolt or with a bolt in the middle, and there is no wear and tear on these sleds yet. Been using it for 2 years. They bounce around really hard. Neither sled is showing any wear in those spots. Like the sled's not weakening. So it makes it really quick, easy setup for a lot of people. It is very steamy in here. I'll just give it a second here, and then I'll go over the preventive maintenance stuff inside this shack that I'm dealing with at the moment. Well, the lens unfogs and we get inside the shack here. That's really the rig. So I hope I've showed you guys enough of what I use to get around on the lake. The one other thing I could show you, I have a cell phone mount up there on the front by the steering wheel. If you've been following me for any amount of time, you know that I use Navionics as my lake mapping. So I can just turn on the Navionics on my phone, I put that in the phone holder, and we can zip around and get on the points and flats and mud flats and wherever we're going, the basins. With one login, you can save it across all your devices. You can pin things at home, go visit them once you're on the lake, use the GPS on the lake to pin things and always come back to it. And no matter if your device breaks or dies, you don't need a new chip, you don't need any sort of updates or upgrades to get the newest, latest, and greatest. You just re-download the app on your new item. Like I said, if you're following me, you know I use that on the boat as well. I have a tablet during the summer that I use, but that's just overkill for using it in the side-by-side. So we got the phone. All right, this video's getting a little long. So instead of me showing you every little thing that I'm doing to the shack for preventative maintenance, quick summary, a lot of bolts are coming loose on it this year. They all have nylon nuts and things like that, but I've lost 2 bolts because the nylon nuts fell off while we were driving around on the lake, and I've had to replace those bolts with new nylon nuts, things like that. So I brag a lot about this Eskimo 2600, but here we are on the 3rd year, and it's losing a little bit of its durability due to the nuts that it comes with. So what I'm doing is putting thread locker on everything. It's gonna help a ton, and I suggest if you are picking up the shack, or this is your 2nd or 3rd year with your shack and you're having the same problem, thread locker is real cheap, so it should work. Everything should stay together better now, but it is really odd that first 2 years I've only had the 2 issues with it, and now this 3rd year I've only been on 3 trips because of the incredible difficult conditions that we're having this year, and I've lost bolts and missing washers and nuts are falling off. It's crazy how fast it's falling apart this year. So preventative maintenance I'm doing on the shack is literally just thread locker on every bolt and nut and screw that I can reach on that shack. So that's all I was going to show you guys. Nothing in particular needs to be said more about that. I'm trying to get fishing. It sucks. If you've made it this far, you enjoy watching my videos. Thank you. I appreciate you. I wish I could be bringing you more fishing stuff. I did head out to the lake the other day, and of course it was really difficult to get around, and I probably shouldn't even been driving on it with the side-by-side. There was like maybe 10 to 12 inches of ice, but the top 6 were just white. It was just essentially frozen slush. So I didn't move around a lot. I drilled like 6 holes. I caught 1 crappie, and that was it. And there was just nothing to show you guys. And I was supposed to go out this weekend. There's a tournament that I love to go to, the Upper Turtle Lake tournament, but that got canceled because of ice conditions and snow conditions. And it's just a bad year for ice fishing. So I'm going to try to create content this weekend. I'm going to try to figure something out. I don't want to bombard you guys with Mille Lacs content, but that might just be what it is, because at least out there they have plowed roads that are making good ice, and there's not a risk of the unknown. The resorts know, hey, stay away from here, don't go there, things like that. But anyway, I'm rambling. This video is already too long. I appreciate anyone and everyone that makes it this far in the video. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments or suggestions for my rig, go ahead and throw them in the comments. I read everything. But anyway, that's where I leave you guys. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, hopefully we'll see you on the ice.